The first warning came as a low tremor under the ground, just enough to make a glass of water shake on the metal table. At first, no one in Outpost Helios thought anything of it. Small quakes were normal on the planet Vora 3. But then came the second tremor, stronger, sharper, like something alive was moving under the surface. That was when Commander Rylan opened his eyes and knew something was wrong. Rylan was young, but his eyes carried the weight of someone who had seen too much too early. He walked out of his quarters and stepped into the main corridor. Soldiers rushed past him, alarms began to ring, and lights turned red one by one. A robotic voice repeated the same message again and again. Warning, unknown seismic activity approaching. All units prepare for defense. Rylan did not panic. He never did. Instead, he walked straight toward the command room. A giant hologram filled the space, showing the ground under the outpost shifting like something massive was crawling upward. "What is it?" Rylan asked. Lieutenant Mara, who looked more nervous than usual, answered, "Sir, we don't know. The scanners cannot identify it, but it's big, very big." The ground shook again, harder this time. Soldiers grabbed onto walls, tools fell, someone shouted. And then something impossible happened. The metal floor cracked. A giant claw tore through the surface like paper. The soldiers froze, staring in disbelief as the creature emerged from below. It was huge, taller than a tank, with thick white fur marked by dark blue stripes. Its eyes glowed with unnatural light, intelligent and wild at the same time. The creature roared, and the outpost walls vibrated so hard that dust fell from the ceiling. "The beast," someone whispered. "It's real." The beast had been a legend, something spoken in fear around fire pits, something the local aliens mentioned in warnings. No one truly believed it existed, but now it was standing in front of them. Chaos broke out. Soldiers aimed their weapons. Officers shouted commands. But the beast did not attack immediately. It looked around slowly, as if judging everyone. It pulled the rest of its body through the hole, shaking dust from its fur, and chains dangled from its limbs, broken chains, old and rusted. Commander Rylan noticed that detail first. "It was imprisoned," he murmured. "Not wild, not free. Someone chained this creature." The beast growled and took a step forward. The ground trembled. The soldiers raised their rifles. Fingers tightened on triggers. Mara whispered, "Sir, we need to fire." But Rylan stepped in front of them. "Hold your fire." Everyone stared at him like he had lost his mind. But Rylan walked forward anyway, slow and calm, his boots echoing in the silent tension. The beast's glowing eyes followed his movements. "Commander, stop!" Mara hissed. Rylan kept walking. The beast lowered its head, growling low, testing him. It was close enough to crush him in one strike. Yet Rylan's voice remained steady. "You don't want to fight, do you?" he said softly. The beast's growl deepened. It bared its fangs. Soldiers trembled. Mara shut her eyes, expecting to hear the sound of tearing flesh, but nothing happened. Rylan stood still, unmoving, and the beast stopped. For the first time, its eyes didn't look angry, they looked confused. The beast lifted one of its giant paws, then slammed it into the ground beside Rylan, the shockwave making soldiers stumble back. But Rylan didn't move, not 1 inch. He spoke again, even softer this time. "Someone hurt you. Someone tried to control you, and you broke free." The beast stared at him, really stared, as if trying to understand why this small human was not afraid. For a long moment, neither moved. The outpost was silent. Then something unexpected happened. The beast slowly lowered itself to the ground. Its giant head came close to Rylan, almost touching him. Soldiers gasped in disbelief as the creature bowed, actually bowed, to the only human who didn't run, didn't fight, didn't fear. Rylan placed his hand gently on its fur. "You're safe now." But the peace did not last long. A sudden blast echoed from outside. The entire outpost shook violently. Another alarm sounded. This one was different. This one was sharper, colder, more dangerous. Mara checked the screen and her face turned pale. "Commander, enemy ships just entered orbit. They're not ours." Rylan looked at the beast, then at the trembling screens. He understood instantly. The beast wasn't attacking them. It was running from something, and whatever it escaped from had now arrived. Rylan whispered, "This wasn't an earthquake, it was a warning." The ground shook again, as the sky above exploded with streaks of enemy fire. Outpost Helios descended into chaos. Officers scrambled for positions. Troops ran to defensive turrets. Holographic shields powered up. The enemy ships began descending like shadows ready to consume the surface. The beast stood up beside Rylan, growling at the sky. Mara turned to Rylan. "Sir, what do we do now?" Rylan took one step forward, eyes locked on the approaching enemy. He answered with calm determination. "We stand strong." The beast roared beside him, a roar that shook the walls. The unexpected war had begun. The enemy ships broke through the clouds like burning meteors, dark shapes glowing with red engines. They moved in perfect formation, their lights cold and sharp. Every soldier in Outpost Helios felt the same fear rise in their chest, but none dared show it. The alarms screamed through every hallway. Mechanical doors sealed themselves. Turrets rotated toward the sky. The entire base came alive for war. Commander Rylan stood at the center of it all, staring upward as the first enemy dropships detached and began to fall. He had seen many battles, but this felt different. This was not a normal invasion. This was a hunt, and the beast standing beside him proved it. The beast stepped forward, its white and blue fur glowing under the harsh red lights. It looked toward the sky with a deep growl that came from somewhere ancient and wounded. The chains around its legs rattled softly, a reminder of who had once captured it. Rylan looked at Mara. "Scan their markings. I want to know who they are." Mara's hands flew over the console, her eyes widened. "Commander, they match no known species, no alliance, no empire, nothing in our database." "Unknown?" Rylan asked. "Completely unknown." Rylan turned back to the beast. "Then they must be the ones who chained you." The beast looked at Rylan, and for a moment Rylan felt something pass between them, a message without words. Footsteps echoed as more soldiers joined them, their armor clinking, their faces tense. A young trooper whispered, "Sir, are we fighting both the beast and the invaders?" Rylan shook his head. "The beast is not our enemy." The trooper hesitated but nodded. Outside, the first dropship crashed into the ground, throwing dirt and fire into the air. The base shook. Soldiers took positions behind cover. Explosions filled the distance. The war had reached them. Mara called out, "Commander, we need orders." Rylan stepped forward. "Prepare defense positions around the main hall, protect civilians and engineers. No one leaves the base, and keep the beast close to me." The beast roared again, louder this time, as if accepting the command. The outpost gates burst open as enemy creatures poured in. They were tall, armored in dark metal, with glowing helmets that hid their faces. Their weapons hummed with strange energy, firing bolts that melted steel on impact. The first wave rushed forward. Soldiers opened fire, the air filled with smoke and energy blasts. The enemy marched without fear, without emotion, like machines guided by one purpose: to reclaim the beast. One of the alien warriors pointed directly at Rylan and the creature next to him. It raised a weapon, charging a blue beam. Before the beam fully formed, the beast leaped. It moved with frightening speed, a blur of white and blue light. It landed on the alien soldier, crushing it instantly. The ground shook. Soldiers gasped. Some stumbled back, unsure whether to fear the beast or thank it. Rylan shouted, "Focus on the invaders, the beast is helping us." The beast charged again, tearing through enemy ranks, its claws glowing as they tore through armor. Every roar sent shockwaves through the battlefield. The soldiers, seeing this unexpected ally, felt courage return to their hearts. Mara fired from behind cover, shouting, "Commander, they are not here to conquer the outpost. They are here for the creature." Rylan nodded. "Then we must protect it." But the enemy numbers kept growing. Dropship after dropship crashed into the ground. More alien troops poured into the outpost. Their formation was organized, their strategy clear. They were cutting through defenses with purpose. Rylan ran toward the control tower. Mara followed. The beast followed them both, staying close like a guardian. The higher they climbed, the more they could see the full scale of the invasion. Dozens of ships circled in the sky. Hundreds of enemy troops marched through the dust clouds. The outpost defense lines were failing. Mara whispered, "We cannot win this fight, not like this." Rylan did not answer. His eyes stayed locked on the battlefield. He was thinking, planning. He finally spoke. "They are not here to destroy us. They are here to capture the beast again." "Why?" Mara asked. Rylan looked at the giant creature beside him. "Because they fear it." The beast let out a low growl, almost sad, almost angry. Rylan turned to the creature. "You broke your chains, you escaped. They want to take you back." The beast stared at the ground, as if remembering something terrible. Rylan placed a hand on its fur again. "We won't let them." Another explosion shook the tower. A chunk of the wall collapsed. Mara grabbed Rylan's arm. "Commander, the control tower won't hold." Rylan nodded. "Then we move to the core chambers, deeper underground. It's harder for them to reach." The beast suddenly growled. and pushed Rylan aside with its paw. A beam of blue energy shot through the spot where Rylan had been standing. The beast had saved him. Rylan turned. An enemy elite unit stood at the entrance, larger and more armored than the others, its helmet glowing with crimson lines. It spoke for the first time, its voice mechanical and cold. "Return the creature, or we will burn your world." Rylan stepped forward. "We won't give you anything." The elite pointed at him. "Then you will be the first to fall." The beast moved between them, shielding Rylan with its huge body. It roared so loudly that windows shattered. The elite soldiers charged. The beast met them head-on. Rylan grabbed Mara's hand. "We need to move while it buys us time." "But Commander, the beast." Rylan shook his head. "It's fighting for us now, and we fight for it." They ran as the battle raged behind them. The beast slammed into enemy troops, its claws sparking against their dark armor. Energy beams lit up the hallways. The air smelled of metal, fire, and dust. The outpost was falling, but the bond between the human and the beast was rising. Something powerful was forming, something the enemy never expected, and something that would soon change everything. Smoke filled the hallway as Rylan and Mara ran deeper into the outpost. The lights flickered, the walls shook, and the sounds of battle echoed from above. Every step felt heavier, every breath tighter. The enemy had pushed harder than expected. They moved with purpose, precision, and one clear goal: reclaim the beast. Rylan kept looking over his shoulder, hoping to see the creature behind them. The last thing he saw before turning the corner was the beast slamming an elite soldier into a wall with enough force to leave a dent. Sparks flew. Armor shattered. The beast fought like a living storm. But now the creature wasn't with them. Mara noticed Rylan's worry. "Commander, do you think it will survive?" Rylan didn't answer. Not because he doubted the creature's strength. No, the beast was powerful. But the enemy numbers were overwhelming. They weren't slowing down. They expected resistance and came prepared for it. They reached the lower chambers of the outpost. Steam hissed from pipes along the walls. The air felt thicker and quieter down here, far away from the explosions above. Mara typed a code into a metal door. It slid open with a heavy groan. Inside was a dimly lit control room filled with old screens and dusty consoles, a forgotten part of the outpost, rarely used. Rylan stepped inside and examined the screens. "This room links to the underground sensors. If we can access deeper scans, maybe we can understand why the creature was imprisoned." Mara nodded and began powering up the systems. As the screens flickered to life, Rylan paced the room. His mind raced with questions. Who were these invaders? Why did they chain a creature so powerful? And why did the creature bow to a human instead of attacking? Before he could think further, the room vibrated again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Boom after boom echoed from above. "They're getting closer," Mara whispered. Rylan leaned forward. "Work faster." The central monitor displayed the ground beneath the outpost. At first it looked normal rock cavern metal foundations, but then something unexpected appeared. A huge structure, buried deep. Mara's eyes widened. "Commander, do you see that?" Rylan stared. "Is that a cage?" "Yes," she whispered. "A very old cage, huge enough to trap something like the beast." Rylan felt cold dread crawl down his spine. So the creature wasn't captured by its own species. It was brought here long ago. Mara zoomed in. "There's more, something in the center." The shape was strange, half machine, half organic. It looked like a containment core, but the readings around it were wild, unstable, ancient. Rylan whispered, "This whole planet was a prison." Suddenly the console beeped loudly. A message flashed across the screen, not in human language, but still readable through the computer's translation system. "Containment breach detected. Subject escaped. Retrieval protocols active." Mara stepped back. "Commander, this wasn't just a random attack. The invaders didn't follow it here. They were sent here by that system." Rylan clenched his jaw. "A prison system that activates anyone who once captured the creature." "And now they're here," Mara finished. Another explosion shook the lower chambers. A piece of the ceiling cracked. Rylan turned toward the door. "We need to find the beast. It's the key to everything." Before they could move, footsteps echoed from the hallway. Heavy boots, armored, coming fast. Rylan pulled Mara behind a pillar and drew his weapon. 3 enemy soldiers entered the room, scanning with glowing visors. They moved silently like shadows. One approached the central console and placed a device on it. The screen flickered and went black. Sparks flew. The soldier removed the device and nodded to the others. They were erasing evidence. Rylan whispered, "We can't let them leave." He stepped out and fired. The first soldier fell instantly. The second turned and aimed. Rylan ducked behind a console. Blasts of blue energy burned through the metal. Mara grabbed a fallen rifle and fired back, hitting the second one in the chest. The third soldier charged forward, moving too fast. It leaped over the consoles and landed behind Rylan. Before Rylan could turn, the soldier raised a blade-like weapon. A roar filled the chamber. The blade stopped inches from Rylan's neck as a huge white paw slammed onto the soldier, pinning it to the floor. Metal bent under the strength. The beast stood there, fur stained with dust and sparks, breathing heavily. Rylan exhaled in relief. "You made it." The beast looked at him and growled softly, almost like a response. Myra approached cautiously. "It followed us, even through all that." Rylan placed a hand on the creature's shoulder. "It trusts us." Before they could plan their next move, the enemy soldier under the beast began to pulse with red light. Its armor plates shifted and opened slightly, revealing a glowing core. Myra's eyes widened. "Commander, it's going to explode." Rylan grabbed Myra's arm and pulled her back. "Beast, move." But the beast didn't run. Instead, it leaned down, teeth glowing, and ripped the core out in one swift bite. Sparks burst from the soldier's chest as the core flickered and died. The beast spat the broken remains aside. Myra stared in shock. "It absorbed the energy." Rylan frowned. "No, it neutralized it. The creature understands their technology." Before they could process more, a mechanical voice echoed through speakers in the room. "Human Commander Rylan, you have interfered with retrieval. Surrender the subject or your world will be destroyed." The voice was cold, familiar. It was the same voice from the elite soldier earlier. Rylan looked at the beast. "We're not giving you up." The speakers crackled again. "Then your species will fall." Rylan stood tall. "Come and try." The connection cut. Myra spoke softly. "Commander, they will attack harder now." Rylan nodded. "Then we prepare harder." He turned to the beast. "You broke your chains, now we fight together." The beast lowered its head slightly, acknowledging him. The war was no longer about survival. It was about truth. And the truth was deeper, older, and more dangerous than any of them had imagined. As the speakers went silent, an uneasy quiet spread through the underground chamber. Dust drifted from the ceiling, and the air tasted metallic from the recent blast. The beast remained tense, its glowing eyes scanning every shadow as if expecting another attack. Rylan stepped toward the creature. "We need to move, they will find us soon." Myra checked the damaged console. "Commander, the system is fried. They destroyed most of the data, but not all." Rylan turned sharply. "How much survived?" Myra tapped a broken panel until a faint image flickered across the screen, a map of the planet's underground. Massive tunnels, ancient structures, and one location glowing red. Myra swallowed. "Commander, this red area is where the containment core was built. If we go there, we might learn everything." Rylan nodded. "Then that's our next move." But before they could take a step, the ground above them shook violently, an impact strong enough to make the walls crack. The beast roared and positioned itself between Rylan and the ceiling. Myra steadied herself. "They've started orbital strikes." Rylan clenched his jaw. "They'll tear the outpost apart to get to the creature." The beast growled deeply, not in fear but in anger. It knew exactly who was attacking. It had escaped them once. It didn't want to go back. Rylan placed a calm hand on its fur. "We'll protect you." The beast lowered its head slightly, accepting the promise. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway again, this time rushed, panicked. A group of human engineers and medics stumbled into the room. One of them, an older mechanic named Jarrow, gasped out, "Commander, the northern wall collapsed. We're losing ground. What are your orders?" Rylan looked around the room, at the frightened faces, the trembling hands. These people were not soldiers. They were civilians trapped inside a war they never asked for. "You follow me," Rylan said firmly. "We're heading underground. It's safer than staying here." Jarrow nodded quickly, and the creature. Rylan looked at the beast. "It stays with us." None of the civilians dared argue. They had seen the creature tear through enemy soldiers. They also saw it protecting Rylan. In this moment, the humans realized it wasn't their enemy. It was their shield. Rylan turned to Mara. "Lead the civilians through the lower tunnels." "And you?" she asked. "I'll stay close to the beast. If it falls behind, we all die." Myra nodded and guided the civilians into the dark tunnel ahead. Rylan and the beast followed closely. The tunnel was narrow at first, but widened into old stone corridors covered in strange alien markings. The air was cool and quiet, away from the burning chaos above. Jarrow whispered behind them, "These markings, they look older than human colonization." Rylan agreed silently. This planet had secrets buried long before humans arrived, secrets tied to the creature walking at his side. As they moved deeper, the beast paused suddenly. Its ears twitched. It sniffed the air, then growled softly. Rylan whispered, "What is it?" The beast looked upward, then toward the path behind them, warning them. Myra's eyes widened. "They're tracking us underground." Rylan raised his weapon. "Keep moving, faster." But the attack came quicker than expected. The ceiling shook as something drilled through the rock above them. A metal cylinder punched through and crashed into the tunnel floor. Soldiers jumped out immediately, dark-armored figures with glowing visors. Energy bolts shot through the air. Civilians screamed and ducked for cover. The beast leapt in front of them, its body shielding the humans. Bolts struck its fur, but the creature only growled louder, absorbing the impact. Rylan fired, hitting one soldier. Myra fired back, covering the civilians. But the enemy numbers grew. A bolt hit the wall, sending a shower of debris. Jarrow fell with a cry as rocks scraped his leg. Rylan ran to him, dragging him behind cover. The beast roared and charged the enemy, moving with incredible speed in the tight tunnel. Its claws slashed through armor. Its fangs tore through energy shields. But this time, the enemy came prepared. A metallic drone flew down from the hole in the ceiling. It locked onto the beast and fired a net of glowing blue energy. The net wrapped around the creature, tightening instantly. The beast roared in pain as electricity surged through its body. Its paws shook. It stumbled. "No!" Rylan shouted. He raised his weapon and shot the drone, destroying it in one blast. The energy net flickered but did not break. The enemy soldiers moved in with more devices. They aimed at the creature, preparing to fire again. Rylan knew if the net fully activated, the beast would be paralyzed, and then captured. Without hesitation, Rylan sprinted straight toward the creature, ignoring the danger. He grabbed the glowing net with his bare. The underground chamber opened before them like a giant stone cathedral carved by alien hands. The air felt colder, ancient, filled with a quiet hum that seemed to pulse through the walls. The glowing crystals cast soft blue light across the massive room. Strange symbols covered the stone pillars, spiraling across the ceiling like a forgotten script. The civilians stopped in silence, unable to speak. Even Mara stared wide-eyed. Rylan stepped forward slowly, studying everything with sharp caution. The beast walked beside him, its fur shimmering faintly in the glow. It stepped ahead with strange familiarity, its movements slower, almost respectful. It knew this place. Mara whispered, "Commander, was this built by the creature's species?" Rylan shook his head. "No, this is older, much older." The beast paused at the center of the chamber. There, embedded deep in the floor, was a giant circular platform covered in symbols that glowed faintly when the creature approached. The air vibrated softly, like the room recognized its presence. Jarrow, limping but stable, whispered from behind Mara, "It looks like a throne room." Rylan didn't answer. He was staring at the platform. The beast placed one paw on the glowing surface. Instantly, the entire chamber burst alive. Crystals brightened, symbols across the walls lit up like neon veins. Energy pulsed through the chamber with a low hum that echoed in their bones. The civilians stumbled back. Mara gasped, "What's happening?" Rylan pulled her behind him while watching the beast closely. The creature did not roar, did not panic. It stood tall, calm, as the energy wrapped around it like swirling mist. Rylan whispered, "It's activating something." Then from the walls, projections appeared, faded holograms of tall alien beings with long limbs and bright eyes. They wore ceremonial armor and held staffs glowing with energy. Their voices echoed softly, speaking in a forgotten language. Mara stared. "Are these the builders of this place?" Rylan nodded slowly. "I think so." The holograms formed a circle around the platform. One figure stepped forward. Its image flickered but remained steady enough to understand. The translation system in their suits activated. A deep, ancient voice echoed through the chamber. "Guardian of the stars, you have returned." Everyone froze. The beast lifted its head. The voice continued. "You were created, not born, forged by our hands to protect the innocent. You were our shield and our last hope." The hologram shifted, showing images of a great war. Strange ships clashing in the sky. Dark-armored soldiers, the same species attacking the outpost now marching across planets. Mara whispered, "That's them, the invaders." The ancient voice went on, "But the enemy learned your strength. They took you, bound you. Tried to turn you into a weapon of their empire. We hid this place, waiting for the day you would break free. Rylan felt chills crawl up his spine. The beast wasn't just powerful. It was made to protect life itself. He stepped closer to the creature. You were kidnapped, stolen from your creators. The beast turned its glowing eyes toward him. There was sadness in its gaze, pain, memory. Mara wiped her eyes. Commander, it's not a monster. It was meant to save us. The hologram continued. If the Guardian stands with you, then hope remains. But beware, the enemy will come to reclaim what they lost. As if answering the warning, the ground shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Distant echoes of explosions rumbled from the tunnels behind them. Rylan turned sharply. They've breached the lower levels. Mara checked her scanner. Multiple units, a lot of them, they're moving fast. The beast growled, stepping off the glowing platform. The room dimmed again, but the symbols remained softly lit like a heartbeat. Rylan touched the platform. Is there a way out from here? Jarrow pointed toward the far end of the chamber. Look, a passage. Rylan moved quickly, guiding the civilians toward the opening. But just as they approached, a loud metallic crash shook the chamber. The far wall exploded inward. Enemy soldiers flooded into the chamber, their red visors glowing like burning embers. A massive elite stepped forward, larger than the others, its armor thicker, its presence colder. Its voice boomed, amplified by its suit. Subject 1, you are ordered to surrender. The beast stepped between the humans and the invading force, roaring so loud the chamber trembled. Its paws glowed with powerful energy absorbed earlier. The elite soldier pointed at Rylan. Human commander, stand aside. This creature does not belong to your species. Rylan stepped forward unshaken. It does now. The elite took one step. The ground cracked beneath its weight. You cannot protect it. You are weak. Your kind is weak. Rylan raised his weapon, eyes hard. Maybe, but humans don't run. The beast roared again, shaking the air. The elite soldier drew a massive cannon-like weapon. Mara shouted, Commander, that weapon, it can disable the creature. Rylan didn't hesitate. He raised his rifle and fired. The chamber erupted into battle. Energy bolts lit the walls. The beast leapt into the air, slamming onto two soldiers and sending them flying. Rylan fired precise shots, covering Mara and the civilians as they ran behind pillars. Enemy drones buzzed overhead, firing beams that scorched the stone. The elite aimed the cannon directly at the beast. Rylan sprinted without thinking. No. He jumped, shoving the beast aside as the cannon fired. The blast hit the wall, collapsing a huge section and filling the chamber with dust. Rylan hit the ground hard. His ears rang, his body shook. The elite soldier aimed again. The beast saw Rylan struggling. With a roar that cracked the stone pillars, the creature launched itself at the elite soldier with blinding speed. The two clashed in the center of the chamber. Stone shattered, metal bent. Sparks danced through the air. Rylan struggled to stand, watching the fight with desperate eyes. Mara ran to him. Commander, are you hurt? He shook his head. I'm fine, but the beast. The beast and elite soldier slammed into each other again, locked in a violent storm of power. The chamber shook, the crystals flickered, and deep beneath the conflict, something ancient began to awaken, something the builders had hidden, something stronger than the beast, something waiting for a final trigger. And the next blow in the battle might be enough to wake it. The chamber shook with every clash between the beast and the elite soldier. Sparks burst from metal armor. Shockwaves rippled through the floor. The civilians hid behind fallen stone, covering their ears from the roaring echoes. Dust filled the air, making it difficult to see clearly. Rylan wiped the dirt from his face and forced himself to stand. His legs trembled, but he refused to fall. He watched the beast slam its shoulder into the elite soldier, knocking the giant backward. But the elite was fast, too fast. It grabbed the beast's horn-like crest and fired a close-range shock blast. The beast stumbled, letting out a deep, pained roar. Mara cried out, Commander, it can't take many more hits. Rylan raised his weapon to shoot, but the elite soldier's armor deflected the shots. The cannon in its hand glowed again, ready to fire another disabling blast. Rylan shouted, Beast, move. But the creature couldn't. It shook violently, legs buckling. The chains still hanging from its limbs glowed faintly, reacting to the enemy energy. The elite soldier aimed at its chest. Mara gasped. It's going to capture it. Rylan sprinted forward despite the danger. No, not while I'm alive. He fired everything he had. His shots cracked against the elite's armor but did little more than distract it. The elite turned its glowing visor toward Rylan, annoyed, as if he were a mere insect interfering with a planned operation. "Human, you are insignificant." Rylan's breathing was heavy, his hands shook, but he didn't back away. "Maybe," he said, "but humans don't give up." The elite charged its cannon, but something else happened first. The chamber floor beneath the elite suddenly glowed with bright blue light. The ancient symbols pulsed rapidly, sending ripples across the stone. The air vibrated like a deep heartbeat awakening after centuries of silence. The beast's eyes widened. It sensed the change. Rylan felt it too. The air became colder, sharper, alive. Mara whispered, terrified, "Commander, something is waking up." The elite soldier looked around, confused. Impossible, the core was destroyed. But the ancient builders had created something far stronger than a simple prison. The walls trembled. Blue cracks of light spread across the chamber. From beneath the floor, a massive circular structure began to rise, smooth, metallic, carved with glowing patterns similar to the ones on the beast's body. It rose slowly, humming with raw power. Jera whispered, "What is that?" The holograms flickered back to life for a moment, showing ancient warriors raising their hands as if performing a ritual. The translation system spoke again. "In the presence of the guardian and a willing ally, the heart of the ancients shall awaken." Rylan looked at the beast. Mara whispered, "Commander, it needs you." Rylan stepped toward the rising structure. The beast, still weak and shaking, moved beside him with slow, struggling steps. When Rylan and the beast stood before the glowing core, the platform reacted instantly. Light swirled upward, surrounding them both. The air hummed louder and their shadows stretched across the walls like two joined figures, one human, one guardian. The elite soldier roared, "Stop!" and fired its cannon at the platform. But the ancient energy absorbed the blast like water swallowing fire. Rylan looked at the beast. "If you trust me now." The beast lowered its head, touching its forehead to Rylan's hand. The chamber exploded with light. A shockwave blasted outward, knocking the elite soldier and all enemy troops across the room. Their armor sparked violently, systems overloading. Civilians ducked behind stone pillars as wind and light swirled through the chamber. The beast rose taller, its fur glowing brighter than ever, blue lines spreading across its body, pulsing like veins of energy. Its eyes burned with fierce white light. Rylan felt power surge through him, not painful but strong, like courage made physical. The energy connected them, human and guardian. For the first time in centuries, the ancient bond was restored. The elite soldier staggered to its feet, armor malfunctioning. Subject 1, protocol override. Before it could finish, the beast moved. It didn't leap. It didn't roar. It simply stepped forward, calm and powerful like a king reclaiming its throne. With one swipe of its glowing paw, it struck the elite soldier. The armor shattered into pieces that scattered across the chamber like broken glass. The creature inside collapsed, defeated. The remaining enemy soldiers, seeing their leader fall and the ancient core awakened, began retreating immediately. Their helmets flickered. They backed away, firing blindly as fear replaced their control. Rylan shouted, "Do not chase. Let them run." The beast stood tall, breathing deeply. The glow slowly faded, its energy stabilized.